Friends, this morning there was also a mention about our values, and there was also mention that we must keep our eyes and ears open. I always tell my participants, you must keep your ears open, eyes open, and the mind also open so that you are ready to learn. I wish all of you, please switch off your cell phones, because I was noticing in the inaugural function that some of you were totally engrossed. And I tell you today, because my topic is nature, the best teacher and the best healer also. In Japan, friends, of late, of course about 3-4 years ago it started, and now it has become very popular throughout the world. Adinna Shinrin Yoku anta karitare, Japanese terminology. Shinrin Yoku andre ಸಿಂಪಲ್ ಆಗಿ ಫಾರೆಸ್ಟ್ ಬೇದಿಂಗ್ ಅಂತ ಕರೀತಾರೆ. ಫಾರೆಸ್ಟ್ ಬೇದಿಂಗ್ ಅಂದರೆ ಫಾರೆಸ್ಟಲ್ಲಿ ಹೋಗಿ ಸ್ನಾನ ಮಾಡಬೇಕಂತಲ್ಲ. ಅವರ ಕಾನ್ಸೆಪ್ಟ್ ಏನಪ್ಪ ಅಂದರೆ, ನೀವು ಒಂದು ಫಾರೆಸ್ಟ್ ಏರಿಯಾಗೆ ಹೋಗಿ ಒಂದು ಅರ್ಧ ಗಂಟೆ ಸುಮ್ಮನೆ ಕೂತ್ಕೊಳ್ಳಿ ಅಥವಾ ಓಡಾಡಿ, ಸಾಧ್ಯ ಆದರೆ ಒಂದು ಮರವನ್ನು ತಬ್ಬಿಕೊಳ್ಳಿ. ಯು ಫೀಲ್ ದಿ ವೈಬ್ರೇಷನ್ ಆಫ್ ಎ ಲಿವಿಂಗ್ ಟ್ರೀ. It will increase serotonin obviously to a very good height, very good level, so that your stress will come down. ಡಿಸ್ಟ್ರೆಸ್ ಮಾಡಲಿಕ್ಕೆ ಅವರು ಹೇಳ್ತಾ ಇದ್ದಾರೆ, ಟೆಕ್ನಾಲಜಿಯಿಂದ ಸ್ವಲ್ಪ ದೂರ ಬನ್ನಿ. ನಮ್ಮ ಲೈಫು ಬರೀ ಮೊಬೈಲು, ಕಂಪ್ಯೂಟರು, ನಮ್ಮ ಟ್ಯಾಬು ಇಷ್ಟಕ್ಕೆ ಆಗಬಾರ್ದು, ಸೀಮಿತ ಆಗಬಾರ್ದು. ಪ್ರಕೃತಿ ಜೊತೆ ಒಡನಾಟ ಬೆಳೆಸ್ಕೊಳ್ಳಿ. ಪ್ರಕೃತಿ ಜೊತೆ ಇದ್ದಾಗ, ಒನ್ಸ್ ಯು ಆರ್ ಅವೇ ಫ್ರಮ್ ಟೆಕ್ನಾಲಜಿ, ಯು ಫೀಲ್ ಸೋ ರಿಲ್ಯಾಕ್ಸ್ಡ್. ಇನ್ಫ್ಯಾಕ್ಟ್, ಇಫ್ ಯು ಗೋ ಟು ಎ ಫಾರೆಸ್ಟ್ ವೇರ್ ಯು ಡೋಂಟ್ ಹ್ಯಾವ್ ಸಿಗ್ನಲ್ಸ್, ಐ ಟೆಲ್ ಯು ಆರ್ ದಿ ಬ್ಲೆಸ್ಡ್ ಪರ್ಸನ್. ಬಿಕಾಸ್ ಯಾವುದೂ ತೊಂದರೆ ಇಲ್ಲ ನಿಮಗೆ, ಯಾವುದೇ ರೀತಿಯಾದ ಮಾನಸಿಕ ಒತ್ತಡ ಇರೋದಿಲ್ಲ. ಇದನ್ನು ಫಾರೆಸ್ಟ್ ಬೇದಿಂಗ್ ಅಂತ ಕರೀತಾರೆ, ಶಿನ್ರಿನ್ ಯೋಕು ಅಂತ ಕರೀತಾರೆ. ಇದನ್ನು ನಾವು ಅಭ್ಯಾಸ ಮಾಡಿಕೊಂಡ್ರೆ ಸ್ನೇಹಿತರೆ, ನಮ್ಮ ಸ್ಟ್ರೆಸ್ ಮ್ಯಾನೇಜ್ಮೆಂಟಿಗೆ ಯಾವ ಕೋರ್ಸ್ಗೂ ನಾವು ಹೋಗಬೇಕಾದ್ದಿಲ್ಲ, ತಲೆ ಕೆಡಿಸ್ಕೊಳ್ಬೇಕಾದ್ದೇ ಇಲ್ಲ. ಸ್ಪೆಂಡ್ ಸಮ್ ಟೈಮ್ ವಿತ್ ನೇಚರ್. ನಮ್ಮ ತಿಮ್ಮಗುರು DVG ಅವರು ಒಂದು ಕಡೆ ಬಹಳ ಸೊಗಸಾಗಿ ಹೇಳ್ತಾರೆ, ಒಮ್ಮೆ ಹೂದೋಟದಲ್ಲಿ, ಒಮ್ಮೆ ಕೆಳಕೂಟದಲ್ಲಿ, ಒಮ್ಮೆ ಸಂಗೀತದಲ್ಲಿ, ಒಮ್ಮೆ ಶಾಸ್ತ್ರದಲ್ಲಿ, ಒಮ್ಮೆ ಸಂಸಾರದಲ್ಲಿ, ಮತ್ತೊಮ್ಮೆ ಮೌನದಲ್ಲಿ ಬ್ರಹ್ಮಾನುಭವಿಯಾಗು ಮಂಕುತಿಮ್ಮ. ನೋಡಿ ಎಷ್ಟು ಸೊಗಸಾಗಿ ಹೇಳಿದ್ದಾರೆ. ಈ ಒಂದು ಮಂತ್ರವನ್ನು ನಾವು ಪಾಲಿಸಿಬಿಟ್ರೆ ಸ್ನೇಹಿತರೆ, we can lead stress-free life. ಇವತ್ತು ಬಹಳ ಜನ ಟೀಚರ್ಸ್, ಬಿಕಾಸ್ ಐ ಇಂಟ್ರಾಕ್ಟ್ ವಿತ್ ಟೀಚರ್ಸ್ ಆ್ಯಂಡ್ ಸ್ಟೂಡೆಂಟ್ಸ್ ಎ ಲಾಟ್, ಆ್ಯಂಡ್ ದೇ ಆಲ್ ಟೆಲ್ ಮೀ, ಸರ್ ಭಾಳ ಸ್ಟ್ರೆಸ್ಫುಲ್ಲು ಸರ್, ಸಿಕ್ಕಾಪಟ್ಟೆ ಸ್ಟ್ರೆಸ್ಸು ಸರ್. ನಾನು ಹೇಳ್ತೀನಿ, ಇದನ್ನು ದಯವಿಟ್ಟು ಫಾಲೋ ಮಾಡಿ. ಒಮ್ಮೆ ಹೂದೋಟದಲ್ಲಿ ಅಂತಂದರೆ ಸ್ನೇಹಿತರೆ, ವಿತ್ ನೇಚರ್, ಒಂದು ಸ್ವಲ್ಪ ಹೂತೋಟ ಅಂತಲ್ಲ, ನಾನು ಕಾಡು ಹೇಳಿದ್ನಲ್ಲ, ಒಂದು ಈಗ ನೋಡಿ ರಾಮಕೃಷ್ಣ ಆಶ್ರಮದ ಈ ಪರಿಸರಕ್ಕೆ ಬನ್ನಿ. ನೀವು ಬೆಳಗ್ಗೆ ಪ್ರಾರಂಭ ಮಾಡಲಿಕ್ಕೆ ಮುಂಚೆ ಸಾಧ್ಯ ಆದರೆ ಒಂದು 10 ನಿಮಿಷ ಇಲ್ಲಿ ಬಂದು 5 ನಿಮಿಷ ಪ್ರೇಯರ್ ಹಾಲ್ನಲ್ಲಿ ಕೂತು ಒಂದು ಸಣ್ಣ ಮೆಡಿಟೇಷನ್ ಮಾಡಿ ಹೋಗಿ. ದಿ ಎಂಟೈರ್ ಡೇ ಯುವರ್ ಬ್ಯಾಟ್ರಿ ಈಸ್ ಚಾರ್ಜ್ಡ್, ಇಟ್ ವಿಲ್ ನಾಟ್ ಗೆಟ್ ಡಿಸ್ಚಾರ್ಜ್ಡ್. ದ್ಯಾಟ್ ಈಸ್ ದಿ ಅಡ್ವಾಂಟೇಜ್. ಒಮ್ಮೆ ಹೂದೋಟದಲ್ಲಿ, ಒಮ್ಮೆ ಕೆಳಕೂಟದಲ್ಲಿ ಅಂದರೆ ಸತ್ಸಂಗ, ಒಳ್ಳೆಯವ್ರ ಜೊತೆ ಒಂದು ಸ್ವಲ್ಪ ಕಾಲ ಕಳೀರಿ. ಒಮ್ಮೆ ಶಾಸ್ತ್ರದಲ್ಲಿ, ಒಮ್ಮೆ ಸಂಗೀತದಲ್ಲಿ, ಸಂಗೀತ ಆಲಿಸಿ, ದಟ್ ವಿಲ್ ಆಲ್ಸೋ ಡಿಸ್ಟ್ರೆಸ್ ಯು. ಓದಿ, ಒಳ್ಳೆ ಪುಸ್ತಕಗಳನ್ನು ಓದಿ. ಸಂಸಾರದಲ್ಲಿ, ಇಫ್ ಯು ಆರ್ ಇನ್ ದಟ್, ಎಸ್, ಇಟ್ ಈಸ್ ಪಾರ್ಟ್ ಆಫ್ ಅವರ್ ಲೈಫ್, ಲೆಟ್ ಅಸ್ ಬಿ ದೇರ್. ಮತ್ತೊಮ್ಮೆ ಮೌನದಲ್ಲಿ ಬ್ರಹ್ಮಾನುಭವಿಯಾಗು ಮಂಕುತಿಮ್ಮ. ಯು ಸಿ, ದಿಸ್ ಕ್ರಿಯೇಷನ್ ಇದೆಯಲ್ಲ, ಇದನ್ನು ಅನುಭವಿಸ್ಲಿಕ್ಕೆ ನಮಗೆ ಇವತ್ತು ಅಡ್ಡ ಬರ್ತಾ ಇರೋದು ಯಾವುದು ಅಂದರೆ, ಮತ್ತು DVG ಅವರು ಬಹಳ ಸೊಗಸಾಗಿ ಒಂದು ಮಾತು ಹೇಳ್ತಾರೆ, ಟೀಚರ್ಸ್ ಆ್ಯಂಡ್ ವುಡ್ ಬಿ ಟೀಚರ್ಸ್ ಆ್ಯಂಡ್ ಸ್ಕಾಲರ್ಸ್, ರಿಸರ್ಚ್ ಸ್ಕಾಲರ್ಸ್, ಐ ವಾಂಟ್ ಯು ಟು ಟೇಕ್ ಇಟ್ ಟು ಯುವರ್ ಹಾರ್ಟ್. ದಿಸ್ ಈಸ್ ನಾಟ್ ಫಾರ್ ಯುವರ್ ಎಕ್ಸಾಮ್ಸ್. ನಿಜವಾದ ಕಲಿಕೆ ನೀವು ಪರೀಕ್ಷೆಗೆ ಅಂತ ಏನು ಕಲಿತೀರ ಅದು ಆಗೋದಿಲ್ಲ, ಕಲಿಕೆ ಆಗೋದಿಲ್ಲ. ಜೀವನಕ್ಕೆ ಅಂತ ನಾವು ಏನು ಕಲಿತೀವಿ, ಖುಷಿಯಿಂದ ಏನು ಕಲಿತೀವಿ, ಅದು ನಮಗೆ ನಿಜವಾದ ಪಾಠ ಆಗುತ್ತೆ. ಅದರಿಂದ ಇದು ಬಹಳ ಮುಖ್ಯ ಆಗುತ್ತೆ. DVG ಅವರು ಹೇಳ್ತಾರೆ, ಸ್ನೇಹಿತರೆ, ನಮ್ಮ ದಿನನಿತ್ಯದ ಸಾಮಾನ್ಯ ಸಮಸ್ಯೆಗಳು ನಮಗೆ ಒಂದು ಕಣ್ಣಿನ ಪೊರೆಯನ್ನು ಸೃಷ್ಟಿ ಮಾಡಿಬಿಡುತ್ತೆ. ಆ ಸಾಮಾನ್ಯ ಸಂಗತಿಗಳ ಕಣ್ಣಿನ ಪೊರೆಯನ್ನು ತೆರೆದಾಗ ಪ್ರಕೃತಿಯ ಸೊಗಸು ನಮಗೆ ಕಾಣುತ್ತೆ. ಅಂತಹ ಕಣ್ಣಿನ ಪೊರೆಯನ್ನು ತೆಗೆಸುವವರು ನಿಜವಾದ ಅಧ್ಯಾಪಕರು ಅಂತ DVG ಅವರು ಹೇಳ್ತಾರೆ. That is what we must do. Let us go away from technology. Technology ಬೇಕು, ಬೇಡ ಅಂತ ನಾನು ಹೇಳ್ತಿಲ್ಲ. We need, today it is essential. ಆದರೆ ಅದೇ ಸರ್ವಸ್ವ ಆಗಬಾರದು ನಮಗೆ. ಹಾಗಾಗಿ ವೆನ್ ವಿ ಟಾಕ್ ಅಬೌಟ್ ವ್ಯಾಲ್ಯೂಸ್, ನೋಡಿ ಇಂಗ್ಲೀಷ್ನಲ್ಲಿ ಒಂದು ಮಾತು ಹೇಳ್ತಾರೆ, ವ್ಯಾಲ್ಯೂಸ್ ಆರ್ ನಾಟ್ ಟಾಟ್, ದೇ ಆರ್ ಕಾಟ್ ಇನ್ ಆ್ಯಕ್ಷನ್. ನಾನು ಆ್ಯಸ್ ಎ ಗುಡ್ ಟೀಚರ್, ಇಫ್ ಐ ಫಾಲೋ ಮೈ ಪ್ರಿನ್ಸಿಪಲ್ಸ್ ವಿತೌಟ್ ಕಾಂಪ್ರಮೈಸ್, my students will certainly pick up values. I need not preach them. I must practice. That is why it is said, walk your talk, talk your walk. So students will certainly follow. I still remember my teacher. I very proudly say this because I was so impressed by him. ಅವರು ಪ್ರತಿ ದಿವಸ ಕ್ಲಾಸ್ಗೆ ಒಂದು ಸಣ್ಣ ಸಿನಾಪ್ಸಿಸ್ ಚೀಟಿ ತರೋರು, ಕ್ಲಾಸ್ ಆದಮೇಲೆ ಅದನ್ನು ಹರಿದು ಕಸದ ಬುಟ್ಟಿಯಲ್ಲಿ ಹಾಕಿ ಹೋಗೋರು. ಒಂದು ದಿವಸವೂ ಅದನ್ನು ಜೇಬಲ್ಲಿ ಇಟ್ಕೊಂಡು ಹೋಗಲಿಲ್ಲ ಅವರು. ನಾನು ಒಂದು ಸತಿ ಕೇಳಿದೆ, ಯಾಕೆ ಸರ್ ಅಂತ. ಅವ್ರು ಹೇಳಿದ್ರು, ಇಲ್ಲಪ್ಪ, ಇಲ್ಲ ಅಂದರೆ ಮತ್ತೆ ಅದನ್ನು ನೆಕ್ಸ್ಟ್ ಇಯರ್ ಅದೇ ಕ್ಲಾಸಿಗೆ ಹೋದಾಗ ಅದೇ ಚೀಟಿ ಎತ್ಕೊಂಡು ಹೋಗಬೇಕು ಅನ್ಸತ್ತಲ್ವಾ. ಈಗ ನಮ್ಮಲ್ಲಿ ಭಾಳ ಜನ ನಾವು ಮಾಡ್ತೀವಲ್ಲ, ನೋಟ್ಸು ಕಮಾನ್ ಟೇಕ್ ಡೌನ್, ಮುಗೀತಲ್ಲಿಗೆಟ್ಟು. ಅದಕ್ಕೆ ಒಬ್ಬರು ತಮಾಷೆಗೆ ಹೇಳ್ತಾಯಿದ್ರು, ಒಬ್ಬ ಹುಡುಗ ನೋಟ್ಸ್ ಬರ್ಕೋತಾ ಇರಲಿಲ್ಲಂತೆ. ಮೇಷ್ಟ್ರು ಕೇಳಿದ್ರು, ಯಾಕೋ ಬರ್ಕೋತಾ ಇರಲಿಲ್ಲ? ಸರ್, ನಮ್ಮ ಅಪ್ಪನೂ ನಿಮ್ಮ ಸ್ಟೂಡೆಂಟು ಸರ್, ಆ ನೋಟ್ಸ್ ನನ್ನ ಹತ್ರ ಇದೆ ಸರ್. ಸಿ, ದಿಸ್ ವಿಲ್ ನಾಟ್ ಹೆಲ್ಪ್. So let us understand from nature. That is why I said nature the best teacher and the best healer. What is that we must learn? Friends, ತುಂಬ ಜನಕ್ಕೆ ಆಶ್ಚರ್ಯ ಆಗಬಹುದು. ನಾವು ಸಾಮಾನ್ಯವಾಗಿ ಮಾತಾಡುವಾಗ ಹೇಳ್ತೀವಿ, ಯಾರಾದರೂ ಸರಿಗೆ ಬಿಹೇವ್ ಮಾಡಲಿಲ್ಲ ಅಂದರೆ ಡೋಂಟ್ ಬಿಹೇವ್ ಲೈಕ್ ಎನ್ ಆ್ಯನಿಮಲ್ ಅಂತ ಹೇಳ್ತೀವಿ. ಆಮ್ ಐ ರೈಟ್? ಸಾಮಾನ್ಯವಾಗಿ ಹೇಳ್ತೀವಿ, ಮುರುಗದಂತೆ ನಡ್ಕೊಳ್ಬೇಡ. ಆದರೆ ನಾನು ಹೇಳ್ತೀನಿ, ದಯವಿಟ್ಟು ಮೃಗಗಳ ಹಾಗೆ ನಡ್ಕೊಳ್ಳೋದನ್ನು ಕಲ್ತ್ಕೊಳ್ಳಿ. ಯಾಕೆ? ಐ ವಿಲ್ ಟೆಲ್ ಯು. ನೋಡಿ, ಸಾಮಾನ್ಯವಾಗಿ ನಾನು, ಬಿಕಾಸ್ ಐ ಆಮ್ ಎನ್ ಅಮೆಚ್ಯೂರ್ ನ್ಯಾಚುರಲಿಸ್ಟ್, ಐ ವರ್ಕ್ ವಿತ್ ನೇಚರ್, ಇನ್ ನೇಚರ್. ನನ್ನ ಸಣ್ಣ ಫೀಲ್ಡ್ ಆಫ್ ಆ್ಯಕ್ಟಿವಿಟಿ ಸ್ನೇಕ್ಸ್ ಆ್ಯಂಡ್ ಬರ್ಡ್ಸ್. ನಾನು ಕಾಡಿಗೆ ಹೋದಾಗೆಲ್ಲ ನನಗೆ ಎಷ್ಟು ಸಂತೋಷ ಆಗುತ್ತೆ ಅಂತಂದರೆ, ನನ್ನ ಸ್ನೇಹಿತರು ನನ್ನನ್ನು ಕಾಡು ಮನುಷ್ಯ ಅಂತ ಕರೀತಾರೆ. ನಾನು ಅವ್ರಿಗೆ ಹೇಳ್ತೀನಿ ಯಾವಾಗಲೂ, ಹೌದಪ್ಪ, ಕಾಡು ಮನುಷ್ಯ ಆಗಲಿಕ್ಕೆ ನನಗೆ ಭಾಳ ಸಂತೋಷ ಇದೆ. ಯಾಕೆ ಅಂತಂದರೆ, ಕಾಡಿನಲ್ಲಿ ಕಾಡು ಪ್ರಾಣಿಗಳಿದೆ, ನಗರಕ್ಕೆ ಬಂದರೆ ಕಾಡುವ ಪ್ರಾಣಿಗಳಿದೆ. ಸೊ ನನಗೆ ಯಾವುದು ಕಾಡುವ ಪ್ರಾಣಿಗಳಿಲ್ಲ ಅಲ್ಲಿ. ದೇ ಆರ್ ಸೋ ಫ್ರೆಂಡ್ಲಿ, ದೇ ಆರ್ ಸೋ ಗುಡ್. ಅವಕ್ಕೆ ತೊಂದರೆ ಮಾಡಲಿಲ್ಲ ಅಂತಂದರೆ ಅವು ನಿಮ್ಮ ಹತ್ರವೂ ಬರೋದಿಲ್ಲ, ನಿಮಗೇನೂ ತೊಂದರೆ ಕೊಡೋದಿಲ್ಲ. ಆದರೆ ಮನುಷ್ಯ ಹಾಗಲ್ವಲ್ಲ. ನಮ್ಮ ಹಿರಿಯರು ಹೇಳ್ತಾರೆ, ಹಾವಿಗೆ ಹಲ್ಲಿನಲ್ಲಿ ವಿಷವಿದ್ದರೆ ಮನುಷ್ಯನಿಗೆ ದೇಹವೆಲ್ಲ ವಿಷವಿದೆ. ಸಿ, ನಮ್ಮ ಹಿರಿಯರು ಎಂಥ ಒಳ್ಳೆ ಆಬ್ಸರ್ವೇಷನ್ ಇತ್ತಂತಂದರೆ, ಅವರ್ ಎಲ್ಡರ್ಸ್, ಅವರ್ ಆ್ಯನ್ಸಿಸ್ಟರ್ಸ್ ವರ್ ಸೋ ಗುಡ್ ಇನ್ ಅಬ್ಸರ್ವಿಂಗ್ ನೇಚರ್ ಆ್ಯಂಡ್ ದೇ ಹ್ಯಾವ್ ಗಿವನ್ ಅಸ್ ವಂಡರ್ಫುಲ್ ಲೆಸನ್ಸ್ ಬೈ ಆಬ್ಸರ್ವೇಷನ್. ಯು ನೋ, ಎ ಬರ್ಡ್ ಕಾಲ್ಡ್ ಕೋಯಲ್, which is called kogile in Kannada. Another name for koyal is paraputta. Paraputta because koyal is a brood parasite. Koyal doesn't build a nest. It would invariably go and lay its egg in one of the bird's nest, and usually the crow's nest. So the crow will not know that it is koyal's egg, and it would hatch, it would feed, it would bring it up, and that is why it is called paraputta, adopted child. It is not its own chick, it is adopted. That was the observation of our ancestors, and that is why I say keep your eyes open, ears open, and observe. Now you see, in nature, you know, this is a colony of emperor penguins in Antarctica. Emperor penguins in Antarctica, when it is winter, the entire thing is frozen. Sometimes the temperature drops to minus 60 degrees. When the temperature drops to minus 60 degrees, it is so chilly, and you know, chilly winds are also blowing. What they do is they all huddle together, and it's called the great huddle of emperor penguins. Sometimes you notice 50,000 individuals in one huddle. When they huddle, those who are in the inner circle get that heat, And those who are out, they will be experiencing that chillness. But you know what happens? A wonderful lesson for all of us, the human beings. They keep moving a few seconds, once which are in the inner circle, they come out to the second circle and then the third, the fourth and fifth and so on. And those who are out of the circle will start moving into the inner circles. This keeps on happening. Continuously it happens. And it is a sight to watch. Just imagine, same situation. If we so-called educated human beings are placed, what would happen? One who is very strong will always be in the central circle. And people like me will be out of the circle, and we will be out of the world also. Because if you are there for a few minutes, your body will freeze. But no one has taught them, no symposium, no workshop. They have learnt it, and they are following that principle throughout their life. That is the speciality. Another speciality of emperor penguins, friends, this is so astonishing. We talk about leadership. Swami Vivekananda was the first person who gave the concept of servant leadership to the world. People were not aware of this particular style of leadership. Even today in management, we talk about different types of leadership, but it was Swami Vivekananda who said, you must be a servant if you want to be a leader. You must be ready to be serving. If you are a servant, you can become a good leader. And that is why today people talk about servant leadership as a very important model. And I draw a parallel from these penguins. When the continent is frozen, friends, for about 4 or 5 months, penguins have no food. They starve. And onset of summer, the sun starts coming up, shining brightly, the ice starts breaking. That is the time for all the penguins to enter the deep waters of the sea for fishing. But they also know that there are other predators in the water waiting for the food. So the predators are waiting in the water, and if penguins dive, they are also there to catch them. Who should go first? Very interestingly, friends, the leader of the colony, it says, I am going. He is ready to sacrifice. One of the greatest qualities of a very good leader is to be ready to sacrifice. So the leader penguin says, I am going. And he takes a plunge. He dives. All other penguins are waiting on the strip of ice. And if he comes back, friends, I tell you, you must see that scene of celebration, joyous celebration of all the members of the colony. They start clapping with their flip. And they are so happy, all of them die. But if the leader doesn't come back, what happens? Interestingly, the next in command will jump. So the next person, the second line of leadership, will take over and say, I am ready to sacrifice. He goes. Once again, imagine human scenario. What happens? You will be ready to push somebody else and you will not take a dive. And that is why I say, please learn from animals and behave like animals. Don't behave like animals. Another very important aspect of this penguin's life, friends, is when the mother penguin lays the egg, it is so cold and it cannot deposit on the ice because within a few seconds the egg will freeze. So she will first keep that on her feet, then transfer that egg to the feet of the male, the partner. He keeps the egg on his feet, covers it with a pouch, it's called the baby pouch, covers it, and takes care of the baby for 2 to 3 months continuously without going for a fishing break. Imagine this. The role of a father, it's not just the mother. Mother, she would lay the egg and then transfer and go for fishing. But this father takes the responsibility for 2 to 3 months, protects the egg, and when she comes back, transfers the chick to the mother, and he goes. This once again goes without any problem. Everything works beautifully. And that is why we say, let us understand these values. We say, among human beings, mostly, as I have seen, mothers, they take a lot of responsibility. And we men, we are very, very comfortable. But among some of these animals, they are so good. Even among elephants, friends, very interestingly, by any chance, the mother dies after delivery, the baby is immediately adopted by the other females in the herd. And the herd is ruled by the female, not the male. There is a misconception. Male is not the leader. Male is not the dominant person in the family. It is the male. And it is the female. And if something happens, immediately all other females, it could be sisters or it could be aunts, they start taking care of the calf. And not only that, any calf in the herd is in danger, all of them come together for rescue. That is once again a very important value that we need to learn from elephants. And one more thing is, we talk about materials management. Friends, you must learn from elephants. They don't stand at one place and continuously keep feeding. They keep on moving. And if they stand in one place for 2 days, the entire area becomes barren. Because that is the quantity of food that they need. They know, so what they do is they keep walking. As they walk, they start feeding. They don't stop at a particular place, even if the food is abundant. Unlike human beings. What we do, if you find something very comfortable, you stay there. You don't go out of it. Because you always want to be in your comfort zone. But elephants are not like that. They keep moving. That's very important. See, this is what I was telling you. This is how, the male emperor penguins protect their chicks on their feet. And imagine, they can't even move. Standing there for 2 to 3 months like that with the chick on the feet. Imagine how difficult it is. But they are ready to sacrifice for the sake of the chick. Well, one of the greatest examples for us is a tree. We call that as taru. It is an eloquent symbol of selfless service. The tree stands in the sun, giving you shade. And not only that, a tree is an ecosystem by itself. It supports so many forms of life. So many forms of life. Some small creatures to mammals and reptiles and whatnot. It is an ecosystem by itself. And that is why we say, if at all we want to lead a good life, we must learn from this tree. And this is essential for us. Even teachers, a good teacher is supposed to be like a big banyan tree. A big banyan tree. Small seeds that you sow. Small seeds from the fruit of a banyan tree can once again give birth to any number of trees, and it can become a forest. So also a good teacher is like a banyan tree who can spread and give life to students. And that is very, very important as a value for teachers. Another great value that we need to learn from animals is, this monkey is called langur. Langur monkey, or it's also called Hanuman monkey. And humorously people say it's also called question mark monkey because the tail is always like a question mark. So that itself is a very important value. We must question. When we want to learn, we must question. So please allow your students to question you. That's a great value for a teacher. Please allow. And what happens is, very interestingly, we talk about what is called as symbiosis. This langur monkey and this chital, the spotted deer as we call, They have a very important relationship in the wild, in the forest. This langur monkey, when it's on the tree, it starts eating fruits, but when he looks down, it would find some chitals under the tree, and you know what he does? Immediately, he would pluck some fruits and throw it, so that, the deers can eat, because, it knows the deer cannot climb a tree and eat the fruits. It would eat some, throw some. There is that symbiotic living. And what we say, you scratch my back, I scratch your back. Such a wonderful example for us. And not only that, there is another very important role. What they do is, the monkey which is on top of the tree, if it locates a predator, a leopard or a tiger or a bear, some predator, it would immediately give a warning call. It would immediately start shouting a warning call to the deer because it's on the floor, and it say, please be careful, save your life. And sometimes, when the deer spots a predator, it would also give a signal to the monkeys, because leopards can climb the tree very fast. So it will give a signal to the monkeys and say, be careful, there is a predator. This is how they live, and this is what the value that we need to learn from animals. Well, friends, finally, before I conclude, when we talk about this, flowing water, people say all of us must learn some values from this flowing water. When it starts flowing, it starts as a trickle, then becomes a small pond and a small rivulet, and then a river system, and then it would join the sea ultimately. It has its goal. So it starts its journey as a small trickle, but ends up joining a sea as a very huge river system. But during the course of its flow, it faces a lot of challenges. Sometimes, you find a huge rock. So what it does, it tries to break with the force flowing water. It tries to break, but once it comes to know that it cannot break, it says, okay, let me give up, let me take a bend. That must be our attitude. There is one mantra which is called Serenity Mantra. This will give us peace of mind in life if you follow Serenity Mantra, which is taught by a flowing river. What is this mantra? It says, you must have the will to change what you can. You must have courage to accept what you cannot. And you must also have wisdom to know the difference. I have the will to change. The river says, yes, I will break. But once it tries and understands that I cannot break, it accepts it. It says, yes, no problem, I will change my course. That is the courage that all of us must have. Don't prepare for failures, but if there are failures, accept. That is the greatest value that we need to learn from flowing waters. So it will certainly do that. Sometimes you will have seen, when you see a waterfall and then, the gushing waters, you will have seen the rocks, bored, and, they are cut. And when they can't do it, they change. They reach their goal. That is very, very important. And finally, friends, there is one beautiful short film that I want you to watch carefully. This film will explain about what good qualities that we need to learn from small animals, particularly birds here. It is about team building, it is about leadership, it is about humanitarian considerations. We say humanitarian considerations, but I would say animals. Please watch this carefully, and then we will wind up. So friends, you have seen for yourselves, this is a small bird which can teach us so many values, and we talk about human values. This is an example, and before I conclude, I must request all of you, please encourage your students to take up a very healthy hobby. And I, for one, being an amateur naturalist, I always say, for students, the best hobby is bird watching. If you start bird watching, there are imminent advantages. You learn to be silent. You will have patience. You will have improved observation. You walk a lot. You are in nature. You de-stress yourselves. You take more oxygen, which means your brains work more actively. And apart from that, you will not be fussy. All these values we can pick up if we start observing birds as a hobby. But unfortunately, sometimes, what happens is, very recently I was in an engineering college in Bangalore. I was to talk on the wonderland of Indian birds. And I just asked them, how many of you go bird watching? Majority of the boys raised their hands. I was so happy. Because normally one or two would raise their hands when I asked them about bird watching. But here in this college, majority of them raised their hands. I said, wonderful. Where do you go? They said, MG Road, sir. So bird watching, their perception of bird watching is entirely different. So now what I do when I address youngsters, I always tell them winged birds, so that there is no confusion. Friends, so my request to all of you is this, please encourage them. You also start practicing this. You will de-stress, you will be very healthy, and obviously you will be inspired and you will become excellent teachers, excellent researchers. And even for research scholars, my request is take up something related to nature where you can really find some good, have some good outcome. Your research must add value to the society. It's not merely the PhD degree that you get and 4 additional increments that you get. No. It must have some meaning. That is very important. Otherwise, I still remember, once we had Justice Saldana, former Justice of Karnataka High Court. He was mentioning, one of his friends, it seems, was not seen for about 6 months. And then suddenly he appeared and Saldana asked him, where were you? He said, sir, I was very busy preparing my thesis. Thesis? Are you working for your PhD? Yes, sir, I got my PhD. Wonderful. What is the subject? It seems he said, behavior of earthworms under intoxication. What subject and what research? He gets a PhD for this, and he also gets 4 additional increment. Now, what is the use of such PhDs? It's absolutely no use. Do something constructive which would add value to the society, which would give you satisfaction, and people remember you for your good work. That is why it is said, glory is long forgotten, the deed is remembered. Let us do that. Thank you very much for staying so patiently with me. I thank the organizers for giving me this wonderful opportunity. Thank you very much. Sri Ramakrishna Parama.